time to pass. But I'm calling price rises at the end of the year. And to coincide with all these little brothers and little sisters coming over coming over to Australia. I mean, look, that's one of our leaders. One of the main ones that we said that the government was really go full throttle, and this lower bill with China, it's just really opening up their way. And it works both ways, and it helps both sides, because as you know, there's over 10 million university graduates that have literally got no employment. They just left university not too long ago, and they've got no employment. So there's a lot of, we said and we've spoken about the fact that China needs to export its unemployed into other countries in order for them to be able to employ, because they're causing a lot of issues in mainland China. So look, it's going to be, and we need them over here. Now, some might say, yeah, but university students, what are they going to be doing over here? Well, look, I've caught up during the week with doctors, homeopaths, and these are Chinese little brothers in the different trades that in the different sectors that I've been dealing with over the last week. And some of these people are doctors. They've graduated from first tier city universities, and they're working here as chip rockers, painters, because there's just no jobs for them over there. So with all these people that are going to be coming, and I say going to be coming, not maybe coming, I'm calling property rises in the northern regions of Sydney, and where the Chinese appetite is in the northwest regions and the upper North Shore at the end of the year, and also Guildford, Fairfield, Liverpool, and Merrylands.
Okay. Well, we'll hold you that, and we'll see what happens, because at the moment prices seem to be going in the other direction. So it could be the switcheroo that everyone's hoping for. Who knows?
Well, there's a reason, Martin. There's a reason. It's because the local WeChat chatters have been full on. They've been hot. And with these news, with the news of this lot of people back on again with our governments in the CCP, it's in the main in the Chinese government. Well, they're very, very hopeful that the rooms in the makeshift boarding houses are going to be back to 150% occupancy. And the areas that they're looking at, and they're looking at very closely to purchase homes, is Guildford, Fairfield, Liverpool, and Merrylands, for a specific reason to accommodate the little brothers and the little sisters in these rooms. I mean, look, they're the areas that we've been getting over the WeChat groups that they're looking into, and look, they're not necessarily saying right now. They're basically waiting. But there a lot of these Chinese investors, local Chinese WeChat chatter investors, are cashed up, and they are ready to buy. So they're waiting a little bit longer. But I would say within the next 3 months, you're going to potentially see a bit of movement in the bigger homes in these areas that I've just outlined, and I've just spoken about.
Well, I guess that also means that they might be able to get some income from those rooms. What, $300 a week or something, right?
Man, that's it. $300 a week for the main bedroom with the ensuite.
Yep.
And depending on the size, that could even fetch up to $350 per doll. $275 for the secondary bedrooms. But what they're doing is they're actually introducing those portable bathrooms, shower toilets, similar to the one that we saw in a little bit more portable. That was the one that we saw in Adelaide. Was more fixed in there. But these ones that are putting in that the WeChat chatters are using are more the portable bathrooms and toilets and kitchenettes. So $275 for those bedrooms, Martin, accommodating a couple mainly. And the reason why they're choosing these areas is because these areas are predominantly not the homes of a particular ethnicity, and also they're, it's the way they describe it is a lot of them are not owner-occupied. The homes are not owner-occupied, and they sit on a lot of the older homes sit on piers, so it's easy. It's easier to work the plumbing underneath homes, or introduce bathrooms to pretty much every single room in the household.
Ensuite bathroom, actually a suite, an ensuite bathroom in every room. That's pretty good. And of course, it puts the $400 a week from that one in Adelaide in perspective, doesn't it?
Oh, it puts it in perspective and puts it to shame. Why would you want to buy that one in Adelaide, that building in Adelaide, when you can buy a house in here and do the same? And look, in one instance, we're told that one of the people that has already bought, and this is one of our chat in one of the groups, they even converted the laundry into a bedroom. Obviously, you're getting a lot less for it due to the size and the fact that it doesn't have a toilet, but it is converted into a bedroom.
Absolutely, branches everywhere. Well, what about these numbers then? So we're going down a bit. What happened there?
Well, look, the numbers they're rather interesting. Is it a case of the after effects of the flood, or I want to believe that it's more of a case that people are getting cold feet now. And as we said, unless you need to sell, have to sell, or you must sell, you're not going to stay on the market. And they're going to be waiting. And looks like the winter blues and the cold chills are biting in, and some people are starting to listen to our friends on the other side of the fence and pulling the listings off market. I would think, obviously we're going to see the numbers will play out. We may see a bit more of a retraction tomorrow. But from the numbers that I got this morning to today, they dropped and they're sort of starting to pick up a bit more. So it leads me to believe that they're not going to, not many more are going to come off market. But it's going to be interesting to see how many more properties come on market in specific regions, because some regions are reporting that some parts, some LGAs are reporting a rise in numbers, others are reporting a retraction. But overall, we've got only by a mere 100, 150 less on market than last week.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It looks like the houses have actually moved down. There's still many apartments, 8,973 apartments. That's pretty much top of the range, isn't it?
Yeah, look, and I think there's going to be a lot more with apartments. And as I said, it's between now and spring. I don't see much movement other than a retraction in numbers. But in spring, it's going to be interesting with regards to houses. But with regards to apartments, they just keep on rising. They just keep on rising. And let's not forget, as I've been saying for a very, very long time, the marketeers, the spruikers, the property marketing companies, the agencies that mainly dealt with selling apartments off the plan to our foreign investors, they're still repeating the apartments that they have on their database that are for sale. But sooner than later, as we said early on in the year, sooner than later the numbers are going to rise, and they have been. That's because if you don't have a tenant, or you're not getting the rentals that you were getting back in 2019, and you're not back up to pre-pandemic rental levels, it's costing you a fortune to maintain them, given the fact that strata levies have gone up, the sinking fund contributions have gone up because of the issues and the costs to maintain these buildings, apart from the rectification work that builders or not have to do. The general maintenance of these buildings has just become more and more expensive, again because we don't have the labour force that we had pre-pandemic, pre-2020, and many companies were had very low paying jobs, where people being rewarded very low for the work that they did. As I've been saying, we've been talking about for a long time now, the rise in cost of labour is going to continue to increase, and until these 200,000 come over from China market, it's only going to get worse.
Well, I can tell you when I reran my numbers, having done the update for the interest rate movements from last Tuesday, and that puts about another 4 to 5% of investment properties in negative cash flow on a cash flow basis. So more property investors are losing money, either because they've got tenants that are not paying huge rents or vacancies. So the proportion that are now losing money across the country on average is closer to 55–56%. In other words, only 45% are actually making anything. And of course, without capital appreciation, investment properties, particularly apartments, really don't make a lot of sense at all.
Yeah, in at the best of times, a lot of these apartments never made sense anyway. You're trying to make money out of negative gearing. You're hoping and praying that the price will go up, but it's just a vicious circle. It's going to come. The chickens are going to come home to roost. Especially now.
The roosters are going to roost. Now, what about these auction stats? Because they're also a bit wonky, aren't they?
They are. They're still a bit low, but what we're seeing is we're getting a lot more properties being from your experience and what I've seen on Twitter from various people that follow us and follow we follow. They're also experiencing a lot of no shows and auctions being basically being taken offline and reverting back to private treatment because they're really getting no interest. What we're going to see a lot more of is as we've been saying also, is listings lingering on market for a lot longer than your typical 3 or 4 week campaigns. Now they're going back to what we would call in previous years the norm, which was a property could be on market for anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks. And let's face it, the agency agreements that many people are signing are 12-week agency agreements. So things just got shortened because in a lot of times it was really the industry manipulating the market and creating a sense of urgency in order to earn a quicker commission.
Yes, come on!
Each to their own, and something that now we're going to go back to what we call the normal market, and we're going to see a lot more of these things linger on. The interesting things that we're going to also be seeing, we're going to be also witnessing and seeing is that a lot of properties are going to have multiple agents trying to sell because vendors are just going to get that desperate that they're going to try and give it to a number of agencies to sell. And look, from my days in that space, these are the markets that you don't really want to be the first agent taking the listing to market. You want to be the second or the third because by then the vendors are really well and truly, as the expression goes in the industry, well and truly conditioned to accept a reality or a much lower price than where they started from.
Absolutely. Well, I did another show the other day on the anti-spruiking series that I've been doing, which is showing basically how much the asking prices are coming down. And it's not uniform across the country, but there's a lot of evidence now that vendors are having to take a 10 to 15% drop from what they were originally starting from. And in fact, Victoria in particular looks to be really, really, really under pressure now, particularly in regional Victoria. As well as some areas in New South Wales. But interestingly around here, for 2 weeks now, there were 0 auctions because all the auctions were cancelled. And they were cancelled not a week or two before, but cancelled within 24 hours of when they were expecting to actually run the auction. So it's an interesting question. If you actually, as a vendor, have actually paid the marketing fees to the agency, and they then cancel the auction because there's no show and no expectation of a show, you don't get those marketing costs back, do you? So they're basically sunk costs.
Yeah, you don't, and this is something another black spot in our industry, unfortunately, and that is, and hence another reason why a lot of agents push for auctions as opposed to campaigns of private trading. And it's because they make out like an auction campaign demands a hell of a lot more money in order to advertise it. It's the same bloody format. The only difference, or one of the main differences, is that you're paying an extra $600 to $800 for the auctioneer to turn up on the day to take carriage of the sale on the day. And in my view, and I've written kind of nothing, because I haven't been on LinkedIn for about 4 or 5 years, I think, but I wrote on LinkedIn in another magazine as to, if you're going to be paying that kind of money for an auctioneer, you would at least expect the auctioneer to turn up to the auction either an hour before the auction, or you would expect the auctioneer to visit the property a day or two before the actual auction in order for themselves to get familiar with the property. And as a matter of fact, there's a little bit of a legal conundrum there, because theoretically the auctioneer takes carriage of the sale on the day, and in black and white letter of the law under our legislation, an agent cannot take carriage of a property unless they've inspected the property they've had prior to taking it to market. So there's a technicality. It hasn't been challenged as yet, but that's my view. But at the end of the day, the way that agents or auctioneers have been going around, and you see the ones that are on vocal on social media, they talk about that they've conducted 10 auctions, 12 auctions, 14 auctions on a day, on a Saturday. When you include the amount of time travelling from one auction to another, you sort of think, my God, because it was a hot market and property sold within 5 minutes, and I thought, really? 5 minutes to negotiate the best price? Well, so they're the things that I guess I'm on the camp of the Neil Gaiman side of things with regards to auctions. I don't really believe in them unless you really demands the property really demands to be taken to auction. But outside of that, they're the fees that you pay the extra fees. Everything else is pretty much the same in relation to the campaign that's demanded by under private treaty market. So it's been a farce. It's a fallacy. It's a misnomer that agents have been able to basically spruik more money out of vendors because of these auction campaigns. And in some cases of late, one instance, a fellow paid $23,000 for a failed campaign. And it basically pissed that up because it's got nothing out of it. And as a matter of fact, there were no participants at the auction. That was one, and another one, 15,000. So, and when you look at what was done in terms of the marketing campaign, yes, the staging across on average it's about $5,000-6,000 per home, plus the auctioneer that's rounded up to say 7,000. The advertising on the internet, domain and real estate on average charge $1,500 each. There's your 10,000. The rest goes into the pocket of the real estate agent or the real estate agent's office.
Absolutely. And one of the little problems is this cost of the video. I was talking to somebody the other day. They get charged a hell of a lot of money just to make a little 3-minute video of the property. I can tell you a story. When I actually put my foot in the market years ago in Sydney, I made the video of the property. The agent wasn't impressed.
No, and then you've got to wonder, you really want some of the knowledge on the video doing a tour of the property. Look, it's one of these costs that, thankfully, when videos first came on, it was charging, the videographers were charging, or the agencies were charging, upwards of $40,000 for a video, and the videographers were charging around $2,000. So there's always this, this bit extra that the agencies get for so-called administration fees, which is BS. Look, my tip my tip on that is if you're going to be selling your property, you're going to be putting it on the market, ask for a trust account receipt. No matter how much money they're asking you for, or, you know, once you've got that sorted out, the amount of money that they're asking you to put in for marketing, that money legally has to go into the trust account, because it's money that you've given in advance of works that you're proposed to going to get done, and you need trust account receipts and itemised. And again, also, unless agents disclose that they're getting a kickback or they're getting add-ons on the fees that they're being charged by, domain uploads or real estate uploads or the videographer, photographer, or whatever else. Unless they disclose it, well, you're not meant to do it. So it's got to be either disclosed or you're not meant to take any kickback. So that's something that, in most of all, if you ask for an itemised account from the sales trust account, I can guarantee you, Martin, that only 10% of real estate agencies in New South Wales would put the marketing funds in the trust account as per the regulations.
So particularly now with the cash flow pressures that many of them are under, right, they actually see it as another source of income, sort of working capital, when it's not actually, as you say, needs to go through the trust account. Yeah, no, very good. Now, one other little thing to talk about is this, right? So you actually, you caught a screenshot on one of my shows that I did with the guy from Peter from Amonray2day. We were talking about interest rates and the way that the banks were actually passing on all those RBA costs, well, at least on the mortgage side, not necessarily on the deposit side, right? So, who are the winners and who are the losers?
Yeah, who are the winners and who are the losers? Is it a game of chess or is it a game of checkers?
Yeah.
Either way, I think you're going to get stuck holding the bag. That was my takeaway from watching the show, mate. It was rather interesting. It was very, very short, straight to the point, and at the end, who's going to be holding the bag? Or is it you that are going to be holding the bag at the end, or is it your first child, or your second, or the one, or your grandchild?
Well, that's the point about refinancing to 30 years, right? Because essentially, a lot of banks are doing that at the moment. So, you might have a 22-year mortgage because it started at 30 years and it's counted down because you bring it down, right? But they'll offer you a refinance, but then they put it back to 30 again, right? Now, if you keep doing that, you get to 50 and 60, you've got this 30-year mortgage to pay off, and that's when you get into generation. So we might actually be about 50 years already.
Well, look, that's it. We spoke about it. Is it a conspiracy, or is it going to be fact? We saw what we spoke about what was happening over in England, and the rumours about the financial windmills here in Australia. But who's at the end of the day, do we really own it? Do we really own anything? And do we really have title to the land? Do we everything's gone digital, everything's gone we don't know we don't know what we own anymore, and we're meant to be happy.
Well, the point is, of course, that if it's mortgaged, you have effectively tenancy-like ability to enjoy the property when you want to pay the mortgage, but you don't really own it, not really, right? Because until you pay off the mortgage, there's always somebody else who actually is ahead of you. So a lot of people don't realise that. The number of times I have a big debate with people about the difference between renting and paying a mortgage for a property, and the argument as well, eventually I'll own the property. Well, you will eventually, but until you do, you don't, right? And the other point there is with this resetting of the term to 30 years, which is happening quite regularly at the moment. It's interesting, if you look at the product disclosure information that they provide, it's actually very vague as to precisely what's gone on and why the interest rates are what they are, and very importantly, what the new total interest to be paid is. Right? A lot of them it's not very transparent, and I have a feeling that that's quite deliberate. So what I'd say to people is, before you actually automatically jump to the refinancing that looks good, just ask yourself, what term is that mortgage now reset to? Because if you go from, say, 22 years to 30 years, what you're doing is signing up to pay a whole lot more interest for a longer period of time. And whilst your monthly repayments might come down a little bit, your monthly repayments now contain a greater proportion of interest than previously.
Yeah, so you end up paying more at the end. The other question is as you raised, is will you be able to refinance under the new period as well? And what would the exit strategies or the exit costs will be? And how long will that make you start? Particularly when you're getting older, that would be more a scenario when you're getting older. You know? And then the other bigger question is where the hell did you get the extra money?
Absolutely right. Well, yeah, that's exactly right. And so you basically, you look into superannuation plan and telling you to take a huge chunk of your superannuation out to repay the mortgage, which means that you effectively end up on the government pension, right? Maybe that's a good strategy, maybe it's not, but I'm not sure if necessarily what was originally the intention of superannuation. And the other point there is that effectively I see a lot of people who are in that sort of 50, 60, 65-year age group, still with a really big mortgage and still with many years to pay on it. And it's now clear that they don't really have any intention to pay it off. What they want to do is to go on paying their mortgage into retirement, right? Which changes the whole financial footprint of that part of life. Not necessarily for the better in the rising interest rate environment.
It's a crazy world. It's only going to get wackier, as we move on. So, and it's only the beginning of the new government. But at the new segment, Martin, what's wackier than a conspiracy?
Well, it's this one, isn't it? This was hilarious. This is Tom Panis with one of his little videos, well, you should explain what he was talking about, because I listened to it and I couldn't believe it.
Well, what we should do, Martin, is that in this video, you should put up a title for this new segment, and then we'll loud voice, what's wackier than a conspiracy? The real estate industry on drugs.
Yeah, well, it's pretty amazing what he said, because basically he said there are a lot of real estate agents who are a little bit high, to put it politely.
Well, that's what he said. We got party hard on Friday before open day on Saturday, before the biggest day for the industry on Saturday. I'm just paraphrasing, I'm not word for word. It says if there was a lie detector, and drug test detector introduced into the industry, or perhaps before you had an open house inspection, there would be quite a few real estate agents left in the industry. That is a bold statement to make. In all because, I mean, the screenshot I tried to get was, he was snorting something. There, that was a screenshot that I got from his video. But he was pretty much saying that there's a lot of agents out there, and a lot of agents out there, pretty much, flying high as a kite. But then, look, with everything that's happening over the last couple of years, Martin, it's not the only thing. Our legal eagles are telling us that the crime rate has increased dramatically in a lot of affluent areas as well. In your North Shores and in your eastern suburbs, where there's a lot of shoplifting and people, not shoplifting by mistake, but we're talking about a lot of shoplifting and brand name items. And getting caught because there seems to be a lot of financial stress with that. Obviously, with a lot of the situation that a lot of families and people find themselves into, work-related issues or being dismissed from work because of different new government policies mandated over the last couple of years. You've lost your job, so there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of family pressure. More, the interest rates going up, inflation, everything else.